You don't actually need another video. You don't need another guru. You don't need another technique. You were never disconnected from God. You were only trained to look everywhere except where God actually is. Inside. Not inside your chest. Not inside your brain. Inside the awareness that's hearing these words right now. From the moment you opened your eyes as a child, something happened. Your attention was pulled outward, to faces, to objects, to sounds, to labels. Your name is this. Your body is this. Your religion is this. God is somewhere else. Nobody had to imprison you. They just had to convince you that you are only this person, this story, this mind. And when you believe that, the infinite shrinks into a tiny, anxious me. But somewhere in you, something never agreed. There's been a quiet tension, a hum behind your thoughts, a feeling that this can't be all there is. I know there's more, but I can't touch it. This video is not here to give you another belief, not another manifestation hack, not another spiritual trend. It's here to point you back to what Ramana Maharshi pointed to his entire life. You don't have to become divine. You are already that before you start thinking about yourself. The God within you is not a concept. It is the simple, naked sense of I am shining before every thought. And this might truly be the last video you ever need. If you're willing to stop searching for a moment and look at the one who's been searching, you didn't just forget this by accident. You were taught to forget. Every system you met, school, media, even religion, had one job. Keep your attention moving outward, never back to the one who is aware. Think about how early it started. Before you could even question anything, you were handed a script. This is who you are. This is what's real. This is what's allowed. This is what's impossible. You learn to answer to a name. You learn to point to a body and say, me. You learn to think of God as somewhere else, far away in the sky, in the future, in another state. At school, they trained your body first. Sit still, raise your hand, ask permission to move, to speak, to go to the bathroom. Then they trained your mind. Memorize, repeat, don't question too much. They never told you to turn around and ask, who is the one noticing all of this? They filled your head with dates, flags, and formulas, but no one ever pointed you to the simple awareness that was present before you knew what a date, a flag, or a formula was. Not because your parents were evil, not because your teachers were monsters. They were inside the same dream. They passed on the programming they themselves received. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. But the moment you start to see it, it does become your responsibility. Because once you see the pattern, the spell begins to crack. You realize you've been living as a collection of second-hand ideas, trying to fit into roles someone else wrote for you, chasing goals that never actually came from your own heart. And all this time, a deeper part of you has been whispering, this isn't it. There's something truer here. There's something watching all of this happen. That whisper isn't fantasy. It's the self Ramana spoke about. The pure I that doesn't come and go. The systems outside can distract you, but they can't touch that. The real control is not the government, not the algorithm, not the news feed. The real control is the voice in your head that you never learned to question. The one that keeps repeating, I'm not enough. I'm separate. I'm just this body, this story, this past. Ramana's method is disarmingly simple. Every time a thought appears, don't follow it. Look toward the presence that notices it. That presence is you. The moment you see that clearly, you don't just improve your life. You start to remember the God within you that was never broken, never lost, never separate for a single second. You were trained your whole life to fight your mind. Ramana pointed in the opposite direction. The mind is not the problem. The believer of the mind is. Since childhood, every thought was presented as truth, every emotion as evidence, every mental image as you. Nobody taught you to question the thinker. Nobody taught you to turn around and see the one who is aware. But that single shift is everything. A thought appears. I'm not enough. I'm failing. I shouldn't be like this. You don't resist it. You don't follow it. You don't fix it. You ask the question that ends the momentum. To whom does this thought appear? The thought pauses. The identification cracks. The attention turns back toward its source. Ramana said this question is not to get an answer. It's to expose the one who is asking. Because the moment you look inward, the solid me you've been protecting begins to dissolve. And then the deeper question rises. Who am I? It's not philosophy. It's not introspection. It's a blade, not meant to define you, meant to cut through everything you are not. The body is seen. The emotions are seen. The thoughts are seen. The past is remembered. The future is imagined. All of it appears. All of it disappears. But the one who sees remains. That presence, silent, unchanging, untouched, is what Ramana called the self. You don't arrive at it. You remove what hides it. This is not self-improvement. This is self-recognition. And once you taste it, even for a second, you understand why Ramana said, the mind is only a thought. The I you believe in is only a thought. What you truly are cannot be thought. It can only be known by being it. This understanding is dangerous, not to you, to the system built around you. A mind that believes every thought is easy to control. A mind that observes thoughts is unpredictable. A being who sees they are not the mind is completely free. This is why nobody ever taught you to look inward. Not teachers, not institutions, not even most religions. Because the moment you see the truth, the game ends. When you stop believing you are the voice in your head, fear loses its anchor. Shame loses its story. Doubt loses its authority. And the world you thought was solid begins to feel like a dream you accidentally took too seriously. The silence that appears when a thought is questioned. That silence is not emptiness. It is you without the costume. You without the narrative. You without the inherited identity. This silence doesn't depend on belief. It doesn't require effort. It is the natural state underneath the noise. This is why it's dangerous. Someone who remembers the self cannot be manipulated by fear, cannot be controlled by approval, cannot be owned by any system. Ramana didn't give humanity a philosophy. He gave a jailbreak, a way out, not by running away, not by replacing thoughts with better thoughts, but by seeing the one truth that collapses the entire illusion. You were never the thinker. You were the awareness watching the mind think. When that is seen clearly, even for a moment, the search ends, the world softens, and the God within you, the pure awareness, the silent self, stands revealed. Ramana never separated spirituality from life. He never asked you to escape the world. He only asked you to look at the one who believes the world is real. But here's the part most people forget. Your body is not the obstacle. Your body is the doorway. When you're anxious, when you're angry, when you're overwhelmed, you think the emotion is the problem. Ramana would say, no, the problem is the one claiming the emotion. Feel the contraction in the chest. Feel the pressure in the throat. Feel the heat in the stomach. Do not fix it. Do not fight it. Do not spiritualize it. Just ask, to whom does this sensation appear? Instant shift, instant distance, instant clarity. The sensation stays, but the owner dissolves. This is the secret modern spirituality misses. Awakening is not done above the body. It happens through the body. When you stop identifying with every wave, every emotion becomes a teacher. Every discomfort becomes a mirror. Every tension becomes an invitation to return to the self. The nervous system calms. The breath deepens. The mind quiets. Not because you forced anything, because you stopped pretending to be the noise. Ramana said, the mind is only restless when you cling to it. Drop the clinging. The restlessness drops too. This is the beginning of freedom. Awareness watching the body. Awareness watching the mind. Awareness watching the world. Unmoved, unshaken, untouched, not indifferent, infinite. Awakening isn't the flash. It's what you live after the flash. Most people touch silence once and then go back to performing the character they never were. Ramana was ruthless about this. He said, awakening is simple. Recognize the self. Stay as the self. That's it. But simple is not easy, because the world pulls you back into stories, into roles, into the old identity. You wake up as awareness, and 5 minutes later you're defending a belief, reacting to a comment, trying to protect an image you don't even truly believe in. This is why Ramana insisted the ego does not survive investigation. Not because the ego is evil, because the ego is imaginary. So integration becomes a daily practice. A thought appears. Who is thinking this? A fear rises. To whom does this fear occur? A strong identity comes back. Who is the I in this story? Not to get an answer, but to dissolve the questioner. Slowly, the mask loosens, the roles soften, the compulsions fall away. You become less reactive, less rigid, less hungry for validation. Not because you improved yourself, but because you stopped being someone. And something miraculous happens. Your presence becomes stronger than your personality. Your silence becomes louder than your words. Your awareness becomes more real than your story. This is what Ramana meant when he said, "The self alone exists. The rest is a dream." Integration is waking up inside the dream and choosing to remain awake, moment by moment, breath by breath, stillness by stillness, not performing enlightenment, living clarity, not chasing spiritual highs, returning to the source, not trying to change the world, seeing that the world changes when you stop believing you are separate from it. This is the life Ramana pointed toward, a life where peace is not an achievement, but your default state, a life where you move without fear, because nothing real can be threatened, a life where you live from the self, not from the story. There comes a moment in every awakening journey where the seeker starts to fade, not because he found what he was looking for, but because he finally realized he was the one blocking the view. Ramana said it bluntly. The mind creates the problem. The mind then pretends to solve it. It's the firefighter who lights the fire, the thief who plays detective, the cloud that complains the sky is missing. And at some point, you get tired of fighting shadows. You get tired of trying to fix a character you were never meant to play. You get tired of chasing peace while running in the opposite direction from it. This is when something subtle begins to happen, a soft cracking at the core of your identity. You start to notice thoughts rise, but you don't rise with them. Emotions move, but they don't pull you into their storm. Stories appear, but you see the storyteller instead of the story. And then it hits you with the force of a lifetime. You are not inside the mind. The mind is inside you. Not metaphorically, literally. Just like a dream appears in the dreamer, the world appears in awareness. Just like dream characters believe they are separate, the ego believes it is the doer. Just like dreams feel real until you wake, life feels personal until you see the witness. This is what Ramana meant when he said, "There is no awakening, only the ending of the belief that you were asleep." You don't become the self. You notice you were never anything else. You don't reach God. You realize God was the one looking through your eyes all along. I repeat, you don't reach God. You realize God was the one looking through your eyes all along. You don't dissolve the ego through effort. The ego dissolves because it can't survive attention. And the dream continues. But you are no longer caught in the plot. People speak. You hear the silence behind their words. Events happen. You feel the stillness beneath movement. Challenges arise. You sense the presence carrying you through it. Nothing outside changes, but somehow everything changes, because now you're looking from the only place that is real, the watcher, the witness, the pure, boundless awareness in which everything comes and goes, while you remain untouched. This is the liberation Ramana pointed to, the simple, direct recognition that the world is a movie, the ego is a character, and you are the screen, unmoving, unoffended, ever present, ever free. It's one thing to see the truth, it's another to live it. Most people awaken for 5 seconds and spend the next 5 years trying to recreate the moment. Ramana warned against this. He said enlightenment isn't an event, it's a way of being, a way of walking through life without forgetting the witness, a way of speaking without leaving silence, a way of acting without becoming the actor. So what does it look like to live this way? you move through your day from a place of stillness, not strain. You speak only when speaking is natural, not out of fear or performance. You love without clinging, without demanding, without trying to extract yourself from others. You work without the ego's hunger for validation, without the anxiety of outcome. You begin to notice that life flows, things unfold, events shape themselves without the need for mental interference. This is not passivity, this is clarity. Ramana said, "When the doer disappears, actions happen more perfectly." And he was right, because the ego complicates everything it touches. Awareness simplifies everything it sees. As you live from this place, you stop outsourcing your power. You stop chasing external teachers. You stop looking for the next technique, the next hack, the next spiritual high. Instead, you begin to trust the intelligence of your own being. You start listening to the quiet nudge inside you, the one that existed before the world taught you to doubt it. You begin to feel a sense of inner alignment, as if your life is no longer something you manage, but something you witness. The world doesn't lose its intensity. You just stop being thrown by its waves. People don't suddenly become enlightened, but you stop being shaken by their noise. Problems don't stop appearing, but you stop giving them a self to cling to. This is the mastery Ramana spoke of, to remain as the self in the midst of everyday life, not escaping to the mountains, not hiding in spiritual bubbles, not waiting for perfect peace, but seeing the self right here, right now, in the middle of the ordinary, in the breath, in the body, in the silence behind thought, in the awareness watching everything unfold. This is how you unlock the God within. Not through philosophy, not through effort, not through becoming something greater, but by recognizing you were never anything less. Awakening is not an achievement, it is a remembrance, and living it is the highest offering you can make to yourself, to others, and to the world. There is a moment, quiet, unmistakable, where everything you ever believed about who you are starts to fall apart, not violently, not dramatically, but like fog disappearing, because the sun finally rose. Ramana called it the death of the unreal. The ego hears that and panics, but the self hears it and relaxes, because deep down, you've always known that the person you've been protecting, the identity you've been polishing, defending, performing, was never the real you. You didn't fail. You simply outgrew the mask. And when the mask cracks, the light you've been hiding from yourself begins to shine through. This is why awakening feels strange. The world continues, but your relationship to it dissolves. You see thoughts rise, but there's no thinker. You see emotions swirl, but there's no one drowning in them. You see choices appear, but there's no chooser. Everything happens the way waves happen on the ocean, naturally, effortlessly, without a you pushing, pulling, controlling. Ramana said, "The only bondage is the belief that you are the body-mind. The only liberation is the recognition that you are not." In this recognition, fear loses its fuel, desire loses its pull, suffering loses its anchor, because all suffering comes from protecting a character you never were. Look closely. The world tells you, become someone. Ramana tells you, see the one who is watching that impulse, and you will go beyond it. The world tells you, fix yourself. Ramana tells you, the one who thinks he's broken does not exist. The world tells you, seek truth. Ramana tells you, you are the truth, seeking itself. And in that moment, that sacred, ordinary, undeniable moment, you wake up inside the dream. Life continues, but the dreamer knows he's dreaming. Events unfold, but the witness remains untouched. The body moves, but the self never moves. The mind speaks, but silence is louder. This is not enlightenment as an achievement. It is enlightenment as your baseline, your natural state, the one that was present, before your first thought, before your first fear, before the world taught you to forget yourself. When the illusion collapses, nothing dramatic happens on the outside, but everything shifts inside. Clarity replaces confusion. Stillness replaces effort. Presence replaces identity. And what you discover is simple. You were never lost. You were only looking away. This is the remembering, the returning, the homecoming. The God within you never needed to be awakened, only recognized. If this message reached you, it's not an accident, not in the mystical sense, not in the algorithmic sense, but because something in you is finally ready to stop running from itself. Ramana said, when the student is ready, the self becomes the teacher. If this video resonated, it wasn't me speaking. It was the part of you that has been waiting to hear your own voice again. So here is the final step. Stay with the question, the only question that matters. Who am I? Not intellectually, not spiritually, not philosophically, but as a direct experience. Return to it every time the noise rises, every time fear appears, every time the mind tries to drag you back into the dream. This one question cuts through every illusion. If you want more teachings like this, teachings that stay loyal to the essence of what Ramana transmitted, then subscribe to this channel so you don't drift back into forgetfulness. Not for numbers, not for growth, but because if this spoke to you, you are already on the path of dissolving the seeker. And once you start, there is no turning back. Leave a comment saying, I am the witness, not as a mantra, not as a performance, but as a recognition of the truth that is waking up in you right now. This is the last video you will ever need to unlock the God within, because the one you've been seeking is the one watching these words, always here, always you, always free.